I think we get very distracted and we get very busy. We live in a world where being busy means that you're important or that you're doing something good.
We extract our identity and value from busyness, right?
Yes. And not that anybody has bad intentions with that either, but I think we do get too busy and then we don't notice what's going on around us.
Welcome to the DMF podcast, where you'll find great conversations with interesting people who have been called to serve. We'll meet impactful charities, dive deep into pressing health topics, and learn from servant leaders working to see, be, and spread light. At the end of each episode, we hope you're inspired to realize your own unlimited potential to change the world for the better. Join us as we work to create a region of the healthiest, most purpose-driven people on the planet. Welcome to the DMF Podcast's Lead with Light series, hosted by me, Pastor Devlin Brooks, the CEO of Churches United. In the Lead with Light series, we explore the program's curriculum, talking with vibrant leaders who are demonstrating the very principles we're teaching, and introducing you to a variety of opportunities to take advantage of this dynamic leadership program. In this episode, we visited with Greater Moorhead Business Association Executive Director Stacia Sytsma, who in her first 6 months got to know a new board president, replaced a former director of 7 years, and decided to launch an entire rebrand of the organization with a new name, logo, and a new membership aim. Whew! Talk about a crash course in Leadership 101. Stacia has a fascinating story of switching careers and hitting the gas and not looking back. Please join us as we discuss with this leader who is always on the go what it takes to tackle exciting new challenges while balancing the work that needs to get done every single day. Let's dig in. All right, welcome to this episode of the Leading with Light podcast. Tell us who you are.
Well, I'm Stacia Sytsma, the Executive Director of the Greater MBA.
Greater MBA. That's a new name for me.
It is a new name. It's a new name for everybody.
I like that. Something you want to share with us?
Yeah. So we were formerly known as the Moorhead Business Association. As I came on board, I noticed there was a lot of confusion around what members we allowed to be a part of our organization. And the truth is, like, we allow everybody from all over to be a part of the MBA. And so I just thought it was a great time to modernize our name, and we got a new logo, which I really also love a lot. It has a bridge in the river to represent that, we flow on both sides, North Dakota and Minnesota side. So it was a very exciting time.
So quickly, our audience members won't know this. You and I go back a little bit now. Mm-hmm. So, but you're recent to the Greater MBA.
Yeah, 6 months in.
6 months in.
Yep.
Big changes 6 months in.
Go big or go home.
I like that. So in a bit, we're going to talk about that whole leadership piece. How, you hit the ground running. I know there's been some other things. You had a new board president come on in that time. You're filling the shoes of a director that had been there for years. And so that's a lot of stuff in 6 months.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Yeah. So when was the announcement public about Greater MBA?
We did it at our annual celebration on October 2nd. We really just wanted our members to be the first ones to know for sure, and just thought it would be a really cool way for them to celebrate with us, because it's worth celebrating. So yeah, that's when we went live, and it was cool because we had a bunch of swag and yeah, it was a big presentation, and I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, congratulations. So we're going to come back to that. The leadership it takes to go through a big decision like that, the leadership to step into an organization that has been led by someone else for a number of years, and all those key things. But so let's set the table here for our audience. You joined the MBA 6 months ago. Where'd you come from?
So I came from the chamber, and before that, I was a nurse for 13 years. And how I came to the chamber is kind of a really funny story.
So the Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo Chamber of Commerce,
yes,
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Similar organization to the MBA.
Mm-hmm.
For those that might not be in this world, there are people that don't hover in the business world as much as you and I. So what maybe is similarities and differences between the chamber and the MBA?
So the chamber and the MBA really have the same goal and mission, to provide like tools for businesses to help strengthen and grow our local area businesses so that they have strong roots, so that we have a strong community. And the chamber does that really, really well. And so does the MBA, but we do it very differently. So even though we have the same mission, we're taking different roads to get there.
I love that.
The chamber is so good at doing all the high level stuff. They got public policy down. Like Kale over there knows what he's talking about. Shannon does a really great job of lobbying. They do a great job. They also have excellent programming. Their leadership program, Women Connect, YPN, their ambassador program, all of it's super great. They also bring in all those big name events like for Voices of Vision and their Women Connect celebration. So then we're bringing some funds into the area as well. But the hard part about the chamber is that they are 1,700 members strong, which is fabulous. However, sometimes it's really hard to get those personal connections. And that's kind of why I went to the MBA. Not that the chamber's doing a disservice, but they're stretched a little thin. And so in my thought process was, if the MBA can fill those gaps and kind of do the things that the chamber isn't able to do, like the connections, like the intimate networking things, nonprofit focused programs, that was my goal. I don't want to do anything that the chamber is doing because they do it well. What I want to do is fill in those gaps and, fill the need that's out there.
I like that. And it's about constituency, right? Like there are other, I think of the downtown Fargo organization, right? So, I mean, it's not unheard of to have other constituencies have a group that protects their interests, promotes them. And so that's what Greater MBA is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, we serve in a very different way, and our home will always be Moorhead, just because that's where our roots are. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to welcome in every other people from other areas. I always say that we can all be one family, but that doesn't mean we don't get our own personalities. You look at Moorhead with the work that they're doing, that Moorhead's going to be its own unique hub to go to, and you're going to go there for a specific reason. Yeah. Just like you're going to go to Fargo for a specific reason. You look at Dilworth and their rail district. That's so unique as well. We're not competing. We're all going to work together, but we need each other.
I love that. That's a great explanation. So, I know that you will weave your experience at the chamber into this, but I don't think anyone anticipated this story all starting with nursing. So let's go. I got to hear this story.
So I felt called to be a nurse many moons ago. 17 years ago, actually, I started nursing school because that's what you do when you have 3 kids is just, go to nursing school. And it was a great experience, and I'm really glad I did it. And I was a nurse off and on throughout those years, and I loved it. However, after COVID, being a nurse got really hard, and it was highly stressful. And there was one point
Amen.
I went into the doctor's office just for a regular checkup, not even an emergency situation, and my blood pressure was like 172 over 114.
So for us non-nurse people, Stacia, what should that range be?
It should be like 120 over 80.
So that was high.
That was exceptionally high. They were very worried, and they were even more worried about the fact that I didn't have any symptoms. So it just, the job was creating a health hazard, and I was lucky to have a group of friends around me that cared so much about me that they didn't want me to have a stroke. And one of them happened to work at the chamber and was like, hey, there's a job opening. Can you please apply? Please. And so I did. My good friend Barrett, and he put in a good word for me. And I had an interview with Jim Parson, who was still there at the time, and Catherine Greenberg. And I didn't think much of it after that. I didn't feel like I was qualified. I didn't feel like I had any experience whatsoever that would be helpful for this job, but they saw something in me and they gave me a job, and I started at the front desk at the chamber.
Did you go to that interview like, I'm appeasing my friend? Or like, I mean, did you think this was a actual new career path?
No, I didn't. I didn't think there was anything other than nursing in my future. So it was a little astonishing when they called back and they were like, we'd love to give you the job. And I was like, okay. I will say that Jim was very kind, and he did say, we can train you how to do your job. We can't train you to have a good personality. He's like, you have the kind of personality we want. Like, oh.
Note to leaders everywhere, right? Outside of technical skills, personality is pretty high.
Yeah. So I was very honored and flattered to be able to have that job. And then 6 months later, somebody in the membership part stepped down, and they offered me that position. So then I took over. I joined the membership team, and I was in charge of retention and the ambassador program. So
for the lay person out there, I'm guessing that the ambassador program is maybe the biggest public facing piece of the chamber. Would you say? Am I off base?
Yeah, probably. For those that don't know, the ambassador program is a group of really dedicated individuals. When I had left, the ambassador program was a good 70 strong, with people that had been there for 30 plus years. And they go around and they do the ribbon cuttings and they do that member engagement. And so, yeah, I think they are really the cheerleaders for the chamber.
So in total, from when you started to basically when you left for the MBA, what was that? How long was that?
3 years.
3 years. I have to assume, not only here in this podcast, but in conversations we've had, you've talked very highly of folks there. So I have to assume that you took some leadership lessons from the folks there into this job, right? So what made them such great leaders, and what is it that you're taking with you into this new position at Greater MBA?
That's a really great question that I'm super excited to answer because I did have so many great people influence me. Straight out of the chute, Jim Parson was the kindest, most compassionate person that I had well, maybe not ever worked with, but I was very honored to work with. He walked alongside of me. He noticed little things when I was off, and he was very good at paying attention. And I noticed that, and that was something that I really wanted to mirror, just with other humans in my life, not even as a leader, but because doesn't everyone want to be seen and heard?
And I think that's just a trait that's generally lacking in people now, is that attention factor.
I think we get very distracted and we get very busy. We live in a world where being busy means that you're important or that you're doing something good.
We extract our identity and value from busyness, right?
Yes. And not that anybody has bad intentions with that either, but I think we do get too busy and then we don't notice what's going on around us.
Yeah. That's a great trait. What else?
So as I continued on, my coworker, Abby Stife, I have to give her a huge shout out. We really bonded, and it was fun to watch her and her professionalism and how she carries herself. And that was one thing that I really wanted to take away too, because I believe in full transparency, but I also realize that not everybody not every moment is appropriate for the goofy, silly side of Stacia that a lot of people get. And you can be professional, but still be your genuine self. And Abby really did a great job at that. And she was just a great coworker as well. I feel like we were a really great team. Tyler Fishbach also, he was the strong silent type. He as well connected with our members on such a level that people trusted him. Darren Dunlop did the same thing. Darren also was great at when our members walked through the door, whether they were, a brand new small business that just starting out, or if it was Bell Bank themselves, everybody was treated the same by both Tyler and Darren. And Darren also was really huge in encouraging me to step outside my comfort zone and be a leader and have my voice be heard. So that was huge.
So over the course of 3 years, you had these folks that, were very influential. They helped mold you as a leader. They helped shape you. They helped instill your principles as a leader. But there's got to be some things that you drew on from your nursing career too. That is such a challenging career. Full disclosure, we have a son that's a RN. And so I've had a front window picture of this. And so I know what you nurses do. And y'all ought to be wearing capes. Yes, very much so. I give props to the entire nursing community. And that includes CNAs and all of it. But yeah, there are definitely traits that I still carry with me. One of them is not everything has to be on fire. Just the ability to prioritize and chaos manage is huge. To walk into a scenario that may seem daunting and overwhelming and seem like it's the biggest emergency you've ever come across, but you have to act like everything is fine and you just have to deal with things as they come. So you and I have talked about this. When I was going through seminary, I did my chaplaincy at Sanford Medical Center in the trauma unit. And couple of things that I just want to say on behalf of nurses that I think a lot of people don't understand is the Hollywood image is that in a hospital, right? Like it's all run by doctors. And honestly, it is the nurses that maintain the floor, that maintain the individual rooms, that maintain their relationships with the people around those that are the patients. I mean, our medical system is driven by nurses.
It really is. And that, that's the way it's supposed to be. The doctors come with the knowledge and the diagnosis. They're dealing with an entire hospital of people, so they can't maintain those relationships. So it is really important for the nurses to have that compassion, to have that ability to see the unseen, all of that. My mom is currently in the hospital, and she had some issues after surgery where she wasn't herself. And it was great to have nurses be like, we know this isn't who your mom genuinely is. And to have that compassion and kindness, and to have them note, like, and when she came back out of it, to have them be like, there she is. I see her. She's doing better, and to note those little things. And doctors can't do that because they're not allowed the time to be able to do that. So yeah, it is run by nurses, and it's a really hard job. It broke my heart when I wasn't able to do it anymore. So props to everybody who's still able to walk that journey and go to that job every single day, because it's not for the faint of heart, for sure.
Superheroes, I'm telling you.
Very much so.
The other thing that you mentioned, and so in my world, as a pastor, right, the one thing that we talk about and try to practice a lot is trying to be the non-anxious presence in the room. That's how we describe it. But you mentioned the fact that when so many situations as a nurse that you walk into, you are the one that's controlling the environment, and having to manage chaos. I think that's how you said it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same concept, right? You're the one bringing in the non-anxiousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really important, I think, in any scenario to be that presence that is going to be calm. It's like when the little kid falls down and bumps their head. A lot of times the first thing they do is look at the adults around them and be like, is this something I should be crying over? And I want to be that person that, lets them know, no, you're okay. You are okay.
If you haven't already, head to BeLight.org to sign up for the monthly Lead with Light newsletter. While you're there, you can also find past editions on the Lead with Light blog and register for upcoming trainings. Also, be on the lookout for the official Lead with Light book, which will be released later this year. Yeah, that's a great analogy. So a lot of leadership things you're taking from that nursing career.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. And one of the biggest ones is just courage.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
And if I'm being totally transparent, there's a lot of fake it till you make it. I know a lot of, like, that phrase is so overused, but it's true. Sometimes you have to walk into a situation completely petrified and scared and not knowing what you're doing, and you just got to do it. You just got to.
I'm chuckling because my background, 30 years in journalism. There's a really, really obscure newspaper movie from the 1990s, and one of the editors says, a clipboard and a confident smile will get you into any room. It's the same concept, right? Like, they're looking to you for assurance, whether who's ever in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously nursing isn't the only situation this happens. It happens to leaders all the time, but I can't tell you that in the past 15 months as the CEO of a emergency shelter and a food pantry, that in every case I was supremely confident that I had the right answer, right? I mean, but confidence is part of it.
Yeah, so much so. And it is funny, the things that a person can be unconfident about. I kid you not, my last day of nursing, I had done a 22-hour shift, and I had to do life-saving measures on somebody and send them to the ER, all while trying to cook dinner for the people. And I'm laughing because it's now funny, but I had to cook dinner. I had to get people meds. I had to calm everyone down. That was my day. And that was my last day as a nurse. And
so we should state, you weren't in a hospital setting. Like, you weren't cooking dinner at a hospital.
I was in an assisted living. So it was a house with people there. So I wasn't cooking dinner.
Stepping out of the ER. Just a minute.
Just hold on 1 second.
The noodles are burning.
I gotta go stir the sauce. No. Well, I mean, I did, but different setting.
Yeah.
And that was just a normal day for me, and that none of that I was scared to do. But my first day at the chamber, which was the very next day, I could barely walk into the building because I was so scared. Silly.
Well, first, really. Credit to you to giving yourself some space to leave one job and go to the next,
You just do what you gotta do.
Stacia I know. This is the Stacia I know.
Why would you take a break?
Yeah. Good heavens. It could have been a Friday, Monday thing too.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. Context, right? That's important. So let's wrap all this together. A bundle of skills and life lessons coming out of nursing, the training and the lifting up and the examples that you saw that were set at the chamber. How did that flow into the confidence to then apply for the MBA job?
Oh, yes. I would use the word confidence to apply for the MBA job very loosely. Sherry Larson, who was the executive director before me, called me and said, I'm retiring. Here's a link to the job application. You should really apply. And I was like, the first thing I did was I walked into Darren Dunlap's office because
at the chamber.
Because him and I worked together. He knew me really well, and he also is honest almost to a fault. And he would tell me yes or no, and I would take that to the bank. And he 100% was like, you would be great at that. You should do it. So I did, and I did it more so I wouldn't have any regrets.
I like that. And even if you didn't get it, you can look back and you say, well, I was confident enough to apply.
Yep. I am old enough to know that the hardest thing in life sometimes is the shots you don't take.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want that to be the case.
Good for you.
Yeah. Even though my confidence still wasn't up there, I mean, that's going to be a beast that I'm probably going to have to challenge my entire life. But so I applied, and then I heard back, and I got an interview, and yeah, it was kind of a wild ride.
You know what is so sweet is the look of disbelief still in your eyes. I mean, 6-7 months, I'm assuming you took a little. Did you start on the next day at the MBA too?
No, I did take, I think, 3 days off.
Holy cats.
Okay. I I did take some time off, but it was because I was in the hospital. But that's a story for a different podcast.
I find it sweet, the disbelief that's on your face still yet, even 6 months later.
Well, it feels like such an honor and a privilege to be able to represent the MBA, and the fact that the hiring team, the executive team, looked at me and said, she's going to help these businesses and she's going to help the MBA grow. And I will not take that for granted, and I take it very seriously, because the board of the MBA is a group of people who are exceptionally passionate about what the greater MBA is and who their members are. So it really does, it does feel like a privilege. And I know I was up against some pretty amazing people too. So I don't take it lightly, and I hope I never will.
It's amazing. Look at you. Just the joy on your face is awesome. Okay, so we've wound our way here. We are the Lead with Light podcast. We talk about leadership, leading with light, right? So let's talk about the implementation of some of the things you take from nursing, you take from the chamber, and specifically, like, I have a series of questions that I'm just itching to ask. This is your first experience working directly with a board.
Yeah.
Like, what has that learning experience been like?
It's been a little wild. I am so lucky that I have a board that is so patient and is willing to learn with me even. They've let me take my ideas and run with them. Yeah, we're still finding our stride a little bit, just so that we can be the most effective as we possibly can be. But I think for it being the first time working with the board, I truly am blessed to have the people on that board that I do.
Again, for some that might be listening to the podcast who in their world, they don't work with a board. That might seem like an odd question, but for those of us who you're hired and appointed to lead an organization, and then you have this other entity in which you take direction from, but you also help lead.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that presents challenges.
Yeah. So instead of one boss, I have 11.
Yeah.
And I think what has been really helpful to me is getting to know who each of them are and getting to know their strengths and highlighting those and really letting them use those to the best of their ability, and helping each of them see those factors in each other too, because it helps avoid some of those conflicts and misunderstandings. Yeah.
That's beautiful. No one out there listening should take this as a slight to the people who serve on boards, because I think both of us would say, no, please go serve on boards.
Oh, for sure.
They are the glue to so many things in our community, and there are so many deserving organizations and nonprofits that are starving for extra leadership right now. And so please find something you're passionate about and go serve on a board.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It is huge to have that many people give their input. Yeah, can it get muddy sometimes? Yeah, anytime you have more than one opinion, it can get a little muddy. But how else are you going to represent an organization if you don't have input from all kinds of people?
So let's stay with the board for a second. So not only are you new coming into the NBA selects its new board president as well. And so now you have a new board president, you have a new director. Like, what is that for an organization?
Chaos. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kind of not. No, Brett Ortley of State Farm. He's our new board president. And the poor guy, he gets nominated in the middle of the hiring process. My name pops up, and he was actually one of my ambassadors from the ambassador program. And he navigated that super well, which was nice. It wasn't weird or awkward at all, which I kind of was nervous at first when I found out that that would be who's in charge of the hiring process. I thought about every time I made fun of him for how tall he was. I was like, was that a bad idea now? Did I ever say anything that I shouldn't have?
Everything we say comes back around.
It is true. That is so true. But he was a champ about it, and he handled it very professionally. And we both just been navigating. He's a great person to be able to bounce ideas off of. He has a huge passion too for what the MBA is. It's been really great working with him. And yeah, we both learned a lot. We've both made a lot of mistakes. But the cool part is we've been able to pick up and learn from them and be stronger because of it.
As you describe that, there's a part of me that kind of is imagining that maybe it's easier for a new board president coming in with a new director than having a board president that's maybe established and has a picture of the way things have always been, and maybe that's easier.
Maybe. I could see it both ways.
You are filling some big shoes.
Yes, very big shoes.
So I think those that are in the orbit of the MBA know Sherry, but talk a little bit. Sherry's been with the organization for quite some time, and then just kind of talk about her impact on the organization and what it's like to walk into that.
Well, Devlin, did you know that on the day she retired, it was Moorhead declared it Sherry Larson Day?
Yeah. Super
well deserved, but a little intimidating.
Here you go, Stacia. Follow that act.
It was wild. I was a little like, oh, okay. But she had been there for 7 years, and she was born and raised in Moorhead, and I'm pretty sure she bleeds orange. Like, the woman is the epitome of Moorhead proud. Like, that came from her. She made a huge impact on bringing the MBA from a club of businesses in Moorhead that just get together to having real impact and making connections and, helping those businesses make roots. And like the commitment she had to her members, I hope one day I can follow it when I learn all the things I need to learn. But yeah, she had a huge impact on Moorhead, and really big shoes to fill, but like something really great to aspire to as well.
And I guess this is one of the things that just kind of pops into my head. I've done this enough throughout my business career, as I went from one publication to the next or to another organization. Like, there is a bit of a balancing act of taking an organization and honoring the past and yet putting Stacia's thumbprint on it, after 7 years that Sherry was there. And have you consciously thought about that, or has it just organically kind of happened?
Oh, I've consciously thought about it in all ways. I did spend a lot of time just like sitting back and observing. I spent these last 6 months really intentionally meeting with our current members and figuring out like what do you want, because it's not the Stacia Sytsma Association, it's the Moorhead Business Association. So it doesn't make any sense for me to change things just because I think they need to be changed. So every week we have a lunch from 12 to 1 at the Moorhead American Legion. That will probably always be the structure.
When you say we, you mean the MBA. So
the MBA.
Your business organization
Yes.
hosts that lunch weekly.
Yes. So it's just, that's one of the root key things that the MBA does. And that's one thing that doesn't really need a lot of changing, if any. It's a well-oiled machine and it is the way it is. The one thing I did change was our nonprofit program, which is called Nonprofit Connect. It was in the mornings at 7:30, and it was kind of getting together and talking about what nonprofits are up to, which is a great thing. But nonprofits kind of need a little bang for their buck when it comes to time, and mornings usually aren't great for them. So I moved it to the afternoon. It's an hour and a half. And we do highlight a nonprofit and what they're doing, but for a shorter amount of time. And then we do a workshop where you can take away a tool. Last month, it was how to utilize AI in your nonprofit. This one coming up on the 30th is going to be board tips and tricks, ironically. And then we do a little bit of networking. I'm also alternating where we go, and I'm intentionally picking locations that offer some benefit to nonprofits, whether it's discounts or like straight up free rooms that they have, something
That's
like
great.
that. So
Yeah.
it's just, I'm trying to jam as much into an hour and a half as possible. But that was just one thing that I saw, an immediate thing that needed to be changed. Plus I have a passion for nonprofits. You guys save us a lot, not only for tax money, because if the government had to take over what you do, it would cost us a lot of money. Plus you just make our community better, So I think making sure that those nonprofits are healthy is a really good mission for the MBA to have as well.
If our nonprofits are healthy, our business sector is healthier.
And then our community is healthy.
Yeah. Amen.
It's a three-legged stool. Without all three of those being well balanced, you're going to fall over.
So at what point, you're new to your role, the president's new to your role, you're trying to get your bearings in this organization, trying to understand the past and the context and where folks want to go, and then, hey, let's just rebrand the entire organization, right now and launch this out the door. Did you do that on day one, or did you give yourself, a week? Or
that's a really great question. It was a couple months in. I think the entire board kind of had the same feel as well, especially when we have people on my board who work and live in other areas than Moorhead. I think it was overdue. It just hadn't been said out loud. And there wasn't the capacity to take on that big of a project. In hindsight, would I do it in the short amount of time? I don't know. Maybe not. But then again, we got it done. So, maybe they're just...
Hindsight's just that, isn't it?
It is.
Sometimes naivete works in our advantage.
But yeah, so I think it was hovering on the surface. I think Brett and I just knocked down that door, and so it was on the path to happening.
So you're kind of managing that as you're managing the day-to-day changes and, restructuring an organization to fit your leadership styles, all of those things. Like, what was that balancing act like?
Balance might be a strong word. It's been a huge learning opportunity, and it is funny how many people had to play a huge role in it. Going back to my time at the chamber, Jane Vagnus Fitch was huge in helping me realize like organizational structure, and I got to help out with the strategic plan for the chamber before I left, which I was super honored to be able to do because one, she saw something in me that was like, she will be an asset for this. But she also pushed me to realize how I have the ability to observe and see and kind of realize what needs to be fixed and what doesn't, and how to track backwards. So if we have a goal, tracking backwards and like, okay, if we want goal A, what steps do we have to take to get there? Not just, let's just jump into it. That being said, when I got here, that was such a huge blessing to me, just because the MBA and Moorhead in general is at such a turning point where
a lot of energy
and so many cool things happening, and being able to see the vision and be like, okay, if all this is going to happen in a year, what are the steps we have to take to be able to be prepared for that? That was a really big deal, and I was really glad that I had that tool in my back pocket.
So you make the announcement. What's been the general reception?
It's been great. People have been so excited about it and receptive. I was fully prepared because I know how deep like Moorhead roots go, and I understand, and I knew that this may be like a bit of a Band-Aid rip situation for some people, and I have a lot of respect for that, and I have a lot of empathy for that. So I was fully prepared for some backlash, but I haven't heard anything. And I think it's just a testament to the fact that our name change and our rebrand isn't us looking to the future. It's just matching what we're doing now. We currently have about half and half when it comes to Moorhead residents and residents outside of Moorhead that are part of the MBA. So really, we were just catching up to what's already happening.
I would bet a lot of people on the outside looking in would have never guessed that. The membership makeup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was surprised too when I looked at the membership list. But it makes sense, you know? People come and go over that bridge every single day, and you know, it's not a straight line or a firm gap. You know, we flow really fluently in all of our communities every day.
You know, doing business in one community, regardless of where you're physically located, I mean, those boundaries don't know a city limit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So you have the organization in place. You know, you and the board have had maybe 7 months now to work together. And so what do we expect from the greater MBA now? What's in the near future? What is maybe a long-term goal that you can share?
My long-term goal is for the MBA to be an organization that when you start a business, people are like, okay, you got to go check out the MBA. We have such a talented group of members with so many amazing skills, and I'm going to harness those, whether it be like people connecting people or people with different abilities of leadership styles or business consulting or social media tips and tricks. I think we're really underutilizing that and just bringing our members forward and letting them shine. and eventually having that be the essence of the organization.
I love that. Still bringing people together.
Trying.
You're a connector.
Oh, I'm glad to hear you say that.
Okay. So if you can crystallize it, like what stands out to you from, whether it could be the chamber, whether it could be, leaders that were in your past and in your nursing profession, like on the surface, what are the leadership things that people have taught you that got you to this point?
I think the biggest one is to see people and hear people. Like, it's always, whether I've done youth ministry, whether it's being a nurse, whether it's anything I do, even the members of my board, I really want to make sure people feel heard and seen. Not only for them, so that they have some pride and some confidence, but you don't know what you don't know. And if I don't find out that information, and if I don't ask that information, I'm not going to ever know. So that's the biggest thing I ever wanted to lead with. And then just knowing that nobody does things perfectly, and that's okay. And you can go into something scared and still do it well. So those are kind of the biggest takeaways in the mishmash of my life that I've learned.
That's great. You don't know this. We have this tradition here at Lead with Light that, we recognize that LIGHT is an acronym, right? And so generally through the course of a conversation, when I have folks on, I kind of look for pieces of the conversation that we have that fall in line with that acronym. And then I pick a couple of them and I throw that at you and I get your top of mind response. Okay.
Great.
Galvanizing gratitude. How important is gratitude?
Oh, I think it's one of the most important things. We can't do anything alone. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for so many people in my life. This organization, I'm a small part of it, even. I am so grateful for the people that stepped up to help teach me my role. Even the members that just show up every week to the lunches, that see the importance of making members feel comfortable and talking about the MBA and what they do. I even think at the annual celebration, when I got really scared to stand up and speak, Cassie Temple, who is on our board, she's the board secretary, looked at me and she's like, go be the executive director we know you can be. And that flipped a switch in me. And I'm exceptionally grateful for that, because I probably wouldn't have done very well without that. But it also just reminds you that you're not alone. So gratitude is huge.
Okay, one more. And it came kind of near the end of our conversation, but so one of the reasons that Lead with Light was created as a platform and an initiative by DMF last year was this recognition that leading into our last national election, there was a lot of divisiveness, but you kind of ended our conversation today about, well, I'm going to read this and I think it'll make sense.
Okay.
So talking, walking, and modeling civility, forgiveness, and a love for all. You mentioned that. Everyone's imperfect. Seeing people, hearing people. Talk about how important as a leader it is to model civility, forgiveness, and a love for all?
There's always two sides to every story. And it's really important for people to know both sides. And not only that, but know that there's humans behind those stories. Humans with genuine feelings, whether you believe in what they're saying or not, they do. And trying to see the heart and the compassion behind it, that will always be my stance. And I think it softens people. It takes away a lot of the combativeness that can sometimes come between arguments or conflicting opinions. If you're willing to just open up and say, tell me a little more about that. Tell me where you're coming from. Why do you feel that way? I don't think we take the time to do that. You know, so many times people are behind a keyboard because it's safe. And I get that and I understand that. And it's just easier to type out your reply real quick without knowing the entirety of the story. I think that's been missing, and we've made it easy to skip that step. But then we've also lost a little bit of humanity in that as well. And I think it's really important to get back to that. So I try. Don't always get to do it, but I really do try to see both sides and find the humanity in every statement as opposed to just listening to the statement.
Beautifully put, my friend. Okay. Stacia Sytsma, Executive Director of the Greater MBA. If one would like to, how do we get a hold of you and the organization?
You can just go to our website, which we're actually switching up right now, but right now it's mhdmba.org. Or just give me a call. To be honest, I don't remember my office number right now, but it's on the website.
That's why we have websites.
That's why we have websites. I would love to grab coffee and have a chat with anybody who wants to. I like getting to know people. All
right. Best of luck, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
The story of successful achievers in business switching occupational gears is not new. Generally, go-getters, no matter the industry, tend to be successful wherever they land. But a career change from former nurse to executive director of a nonprofit whose aim is to grow local businesses might not be the most common example of such a leadership change. Stacia Sytsma, though, is anything but a common leader. Her energy runs on a high-octane level because she is absolutely passionate about helping local businesses. And don't forget the nonprofits, as she emphasizes, strive. Entering her role as the executive director of the Greater Moorhead Business Association was anything but a breeze. She was following the lead of a successful 7-year term for the organization's former leader, and joining at the same time that a new board president started his term. Layer on top of that members felt it was the exact right time for a full organizational rebrand, and Stacia has had her hands full in her first half of a year on the job. It's a wonder that we were able to corner her for this podcast. Stacia's story is a wonderful example of a leader who was ready and willing to take on a new set of challenges because of the mentors who had provided her such a strong foundation of skills so that she could lead with confidence. And her story should remind all of us of the obligation we have as leaders to help lift up the talented folks who will eventually replace us. Cheers to those kinds of colleagues, supervisors, and mentors. This is Pastor Devlin Brooks of Churches United on the DMF podcast series, Lead with Light. Remember, We are all called to serve by seeing light, being light, and spreading light. Amen.